Let's talk about stem cells. If you go online, you've probably seen all the expensive clinics and wild supplement claims, and honestly, a lot of it is just pseudoscience. But that doesn't mean we should just give up. Today, we're cutting through all that noise. We're going to look at the real, peer-reviewed science, the stuff coming out of places like Stanford, MIT, and Mount Sinai, published in top-tier journals like Nature. Because it turns out there are real, evidence-based ways you can influence how your stem cells work, especially after 65.
Okay, so first things first, we have to completely reframe how we think about this. The old story, the myth, is that as you get older, your stem cells just disappear. But here's the reality. At 65, you still have tons of stem cells, pretty much the same ones you had at 25. The problem isn't that they're gone. The problem is they've gone quiet. They've gone dormant. And why? Because they're living in what scientists now call a toxic aging environment. And that is a problem we can actually do something about.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we're going to play detective and uncover the 5 hidden saboteurs that are creating that toxic environment. Then, we'll shift gears and get into the 5-pillar protocol. This is the how-to, the science-backed action plan. After that, we'll talk about a realistic timeline, what you should expect and when, and we'll wrap it all up with the single most important idea to take away from all this.
All right, let's dive into the why. You have to understand these 5 key saboteurs to really get why the solutions work. And here's the thing, they don't work alone. They team up to create this system-wide problem that basically puts your body's entire repair crew on a permanent coffee break. Saboteur number 1, senescent cells. The best way to think about them is like retired factory workers who just refuse to leave the factory. They're not doing any work, they're just hanging around, causing chaos and making it impossible for the young, motivated workers, your stem cells, to do their jobs. They're often called zombie cells because they secrete this inflammatory gunk, scientists call it the SASP, that just pollutes the whole neighborhood. Now, for a long time, we didn't know if we could do anything about this, but a huge 2019 trial at the Mayo Clinic showed us for the first time in people that this burden isn't permanent. It can be reduced.
Okay, saboteur number 2 happens on the inside. Inside every cell, you have something called a lysosome. Think of it as the cell's own high-tech recycling and waste disposal plant. As we get older, this plant gets gummed up and starts to fail. Garbage piles up inside the cell. And this isn't just messy, it causes serious inflammation from the inside out. A really cool recent study out of Mount Sinai showed that when they fixed this problem in mice, old blood stem cells suddenly woke up and acted young again. Their output jumped by more than 8 times. So this tells us that fixing the internal machinery is a real, legitimate target.
Ever wonder why a simple muscle strain seems to take forever to heal as you get older? Well, that brings us to saboteur number 3, losing a key protein called cyclin D1. You can think of it as the alarm clock for your muscle stem cells. When you're young, that alarm is blaring. An injury happens, the alarm goes off, and the stem cells get to work. But as we age, the alarm gets quieter and quieter until the stem cells are in such a deep sleep they don't even hear it go off. This is a huge driver of sarcopenia, that age-related muscle loss. But get this, a 2020 study in Nature Metabolism found that in old mice, just 3 weeks of regular exercise cranked the volume on that alarm clock right back up to youthful levels. Their stem cells woke up.
Next up, let's talk about your immune system. Picture it as a sophisticated army. You need your frontline infantry. These are the cells that create inflammation to fight off immediate threats. But you also need your elite special forces, the cells that create long-term targeted immunity. Well, as we age, certain hormonal signals start telling your stem cells to just pump out the inflammatory infantry, over and over again. This is called myeloid bias, and it's a big part of why older folks can be more vulnerable to infections or why a vaccine might not give them the strong protection it should. The good news? Research from labs like Walter Longo's has shown that certain signals, like those from fasting, can actually help nudge the system back into balance. And that brings us to our 5th and final saboteur, the one that really ties all the others together: inflammaging. It's exactly what it sounds like, inflammation that comes with aging. It's this constant, simmering, low-grade inflammation that spreads throughout your entire body. It's the combined noise from all those zombie cells, the internal garbage buildup, all of it. And this creates a system-wide toxic environment for all your stem cells. A brilliant study from Stanford in 2023 showed that exercise doesn't just benefit your muscles, it acts like a system-wide cleaning crew, reducing this inflammatory burden everywhere, tidying up the neighborhood for stem cells in your bones, your brain, you name it. So we've identified the saboteurs. We know what's going wrong. Now for the good part. What's the plan? How do we fight back? This protocol is built on a solid foundation of science, looking at where the evidence from mechanistic studies, animal models, and human trials all points in the same direction.
Think of it as a practical guide for sending your cells the right signals to clean up their environment. We're going to build this plan around 5 key pillars, and we'll go through them in order of just how strong the scientific evidence is. We'll start with the undisputed heavyweight champion, exercise. Then we'll cover nutrition and timing. We'll see how sleep and stress management are absolutely essential. They're like force multipliers for the first two. And last, we'll take a very careful, evidence-based look at targeted supplementation.
Pillar number 1 is, hands down, exercise. There's just no debate here. The research points to a target of at least 150 minutes a week of moderate cardio. We're talking zone 2, where you're working, but you can still carry on a conversation. This directly fights inflammation and turns that cyclin D1 alarm clock back on. On top of that, you want 2 to 3 sessions of resistance training a week to give those muscle stem cells a direct wake-up call. And this is where pillar 3, sleep, is non-negotiable. Exercise is the signal, but deep sleep is when your body actually does the repair work. Now, of course, a quick word of caution. If you have any health conditions, please chat with your doctor before starting a new exercise plan. Moving on to pillar 2, nutrition. This is about what you eat and when you eat. A Mediterranean style of eating consistently comes out on top for lowering inflammation. So we're talking about delicious foods like olive oil, fatty fish like salmon, and tons of colorful veggies. And this is really important. As we get older, we actually need more protein to fight off that muscle loss, around 1.2 to 1.6 grams per kilogram of your body weight. As for timing, compressing your eating into an 8 to 10-hour window each day can give you some of the powerful benefits of caloric restriction without extreme fasting. And this connects directly to pillar 4, stress management. Why? Because chronic stress pumps out cortisol, which drives inflammation and, let's be honest, makes you crave the exact foods you're trying to limit. It can totally sabotage your efforts. Okay, that brings us to our 5th and final pillar, and we need to approach this one very, very carefully. We're talking about targeted supplementation. The science really only supports a few key players here. First, vitamin D3, but, and this is a big but, get your blood levels tested first. You're aiming for a specific range between 40 and 60. Second, omega-3 fatty acids, which are fantastic for taming inflammation. And third, quercetin, which is best if you can get it from foods like onions, apples, and capers. Now, this part is absolutely critical. All 3 of these can interact with common medications for things like blood pressure or blood thinning. So please, this is not something to guess on. You have to discuss it with your doctor first. So let's say you're on board and ready to go. What should you actually expect to feel and when? This is so important because this is a marathon, not a sprint. I think the biggest mistake people make is they start a really good plan, but they give up after a few weeks because they didn't see some dramatic overnight change. The real magic is happening at the biological level, and those changes take time to build up. So let's walk through what this journey actually looks like. In the first week or 2, the changes are subtle. You might just feel like you have a bit more energy or you're sleeping a little better. Then, around month 1, things start to show up in your blood work. Inflammatory markers that your doctor can test for, like C-reactive protein, often start to drop. By months 2 and 3, you start to feel it in your body. You're a little stronger. You recover from a workout faster. And then it's really in that 6 to 12-month range that the deep foundational changes like rebalancing your immune system really start to lock in. It's a gradual process of rebuilding a healthier environment for your cells. So after going through all this data, all these studies, what's the one thing you should walk away with? What's the big takeaway? It's that the story of aging at the cellular level is not what we thought it was. It's not a one-way ticket downhill. The real message here is incredibly empowering. And this quote just says it all. This comes directly from Dr. Shaheen Ghaffari, the lead scientist on that amazing study we talked about, the one that reactivated old stem cells. This isn't just some motivational poster. This is a conclusion based on hard science. Your cells aren't gone. They aren't permanently broken. They're still there, and they're just waiting for the right signals from you. So really, it all comes down to this. The science is clear. Your cells are listening. They are constantly responding in real time to the environment you create for them through the choices you make every single day. This research pulls the power out of some far-off futuristic clinic and puts it right back in your hands today. So the real question isn't whether or not change is possible. We know it is. The question is, what signals are you going to send?